And what's up, everybody? I'm back with another episode of the Live, Laugh, Left podcast. We're back again. As you can see, Garry is not here. Yeah, we're working on that. He'll be back next week. He could not be here today, so that's pretty cool stuff. So I'm back. We needed to do an episode this week, even though Garry's not here, because there's a lot to talk about. A lot of big stuff went down for this year. So, a lot to go over today. Of course, the college basketball season is over. So the national champions have been determined. And I will announce who won the brackets for both the men's and women's tournament in our server. In fact, I'm pulling up the results right now so we can get that all set. We'll go over that too. Got some baseball stuff to go over. Obviously, baseball season well into full swing. And so that should be very good. And we got some hockey stuff to go over as well. Their national championship is coming this week. But a lot of NHL stuff to go over. Of course, NBA stuff, football, a couple football things, NASCAR, obviously, all the general stuff. So, I did have trivia planned for this week, actually, but Garry is not here, so I'm going to save that trivia for next week. But anyway, so let's get down to business. So we'll save that and we'll be good. We'll cover NASCAR real quick. The Cup Series was off for this week because of Easter, but the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series still ran. And they were both pretty good races. They were at Rockingham this weekend, and it was pretty good racing action all throughout the truck race. Not a lot of action as far as like spins or cautions go, but some really, really good stuff there. And it was pretty good. Corey Heim won again. Funny enough, Corey Heim leads the point standings and is not even eligible for the championship because he's not running the full schedule. Don't you just love what you see? But otherwise, pretty decent truck race all throughout. Nothing else crazy to talk about there. The Xfinity race was a little bit better, some better action, but still not a ton. Some pretty clean racing all throughout. But it was great. We had a first-time winner. William Sawalich got his first career win in the Xfinity Series. So really good stuff there. Congratulations to William Sawalich. A lot of fun there. Also, Chandler Smith got disqualified after the truck race. So there's that too. But yeah, just a brief mention of NASCAR stuff. It was pretty good all throughout. I don't think I have anything else crazy to go over in normal sports. We'll jump to football real quick because I only have one football thing this week. Kirk Cousins found a new home. Guess where it is? He's going to the Raiders on a 5-year, $200 million deal. Seriously, who is this guy's agent? Who is that guy's agent? For how shit he played, he decided, the Raiders decided, it's a great idea to have him sign a contract, $200 million. Would probably be an upgrade of what they've been doing with Geno Smith. But is that really much of an upgrade? And there's a good chance that Kirk Cousins doesn't even play that full 5 years. There's a good chance that he retires partway through it. Either due to injury or some other bullshit reason. I mean, if he's securing the bag, I'll give him credit there. So that's that. That was the only football thing I had this week. Now we'll get to the real meat and potatoes of the week. I want to touch on hockey real quick. We'll jump to hockey now. It's the hockey pain is brutal. It's extremely brutal. I really don't know how else to say it. The MSU season is over, but there's still lots of pain. Swear to God, the entire team is going to the NHL. Now joining the list of players for the past week, Maxim Sturback got signed by Buffalo. Daniel Russell's going to Pittsburgh. Colin Ralph is going to the Blues. Charlie Stramel is going to Minnesota. And Tiernan Shouty is also going to Pittsburgh. That's on top of Porter Martone. That's on top of Trey Augustine. Who do we have left? This is why you get the job done when you have the players. Now they're all gone. The core is gone. So we're going to suck again, aren't we? On the plus side, Porter Martone has been playing some good minutes for Philadelphia so far in their playoff run. Philadelphia fucking sucks, and I hate Philadelphia with a burning passion. But Porter Martone did score his first career NHL goal. So there's that. Congratulations, Porter Martone. Now we get to the Red Wings. Oh, the Red Wings. What a great time it is to be a Red Wings fan. Same fucking times. They collapse in March. They lost to the Penguins 5-1. Then they beat the Flyers 4-2, an important win. Then they blew it, losing to the Rangers, the worst team in the league, mind you, with a goalie that is damn near geriatric and 2-15 this season. Lost 4-1 with their only goal coming in the final 5 seconds of the fucking game, so basically a shutout. Then, most infuriatingly, they lost to Minnesota 5-4 after they were down. They were up 1-0. They scored on their first goal of the game. Then they have a total of 3 shots on goal. 3 shots on goal in one period. You're a professional fucking hockey team and you have 3 shots on goal in the first fucking period. Any better? Then they'll have 4 goals in the second period. So we're down 4-1. We come all the way back to tie it. What does fucking Patrick Kane do? Fucking just trips up the most random trip up possible. Costs us a penalty. Of course, Minnesota scores. So the Red Wings lose 5-4. And without even giving the shots on goal was 22-20. You have 5 goals on 20 shots. What terrible goaltending. And currently, not going much fucking better. They were up 3-2, 17 seconds to go, and they blew it. Columbus scored. They're playing Columbus. They were down 3-2, and they give up a goal with their 17 fucking seconds left. So they lose a point. They lose a point in the playoff race because they are so fucking inept and they can't guard a goal to save their goddamn life. It's so infuriating because the NHL playoff race is literally in their hands. Columbus comes in on a 6-game losing streak. Philadelphia's on a losing streak. New York Islanders are on a losing streak. And they just can't fucking win a game to save their goddamn lives. And when they do win, it goes to fucking overtime, so they lose a point there. Can the team just fucking fire Yzerman, trade everybody, and start the fuck over? It'll be 25 fucking years before they make the playoffs. I don't give a fuck. Better than... I'd rather be the worst team in the fucking league every year than be my heart ripped out in March again. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand it. I just don't. How are they so bad at the end of the season every time? Here's the worst part. If they were in the Pacific Division, they'd be winning the fucking conference. And yet, they're not even going to make the playoffs. Oh my God, it's infuriating. Pisses me off. We'll check back in on them later. See what the fucking results of that game is. Since Gary's not here, I'll cover recent K-Wings updates. They lost to the Walleye 6-2. They beat the Indy Fuel 2-0. And they beat the Bison 3-1. They're now third in the Central, which I believe means playoff spot, because I think it's top 4. So, good job, Garry. We'll check back in on them next week because Garry actually keeps up with that. I don't keep up with that. So there's that. There's that. The only other hockey thing I had to talk about, and it's a pretty cool thing, Western Michigan recently announced that they will be playing a game, a hockey game at their football stadium, Waldo Stadium, in 2027. I think it's January 2027 they're going to be playing this game. It's against Michigan as well, so that's going to be high demand, very high demand, especially even with it being at their football stadium. I could see that being a sellout. And that's a really cool idea, by the way. I think, the stadium, they have the NHL does their stadium series and whatnot, where they go to, like, football stadiums or baseball stadiums in the case of the Miami one, or whatnot. Sorry, I am dehydrated as shit today. But anyway, they have those, like, series that you can do that with, and I think that's cool. Cool shit. But I think with colleges it's better because it's like still at their place, right? Like MSU did it a long time ago. That was really cool. I think Michigan did it recently, or at least they should. And they did with the NHL went there. But now Western Michigan's doing that. That's going to be a massive undertaking, but I think it'll be really, really good for them. And what a really good game that would be to attend. So, it's cool shit. Cool shit. Kind of sucky. It's kind of sucky that they're doing this in the last year of Lawson. They're taking a home game away. They're taking a game, like one of the last games away from Lawson Arena. But you know what? Lawson's not very good. It needs to go. So this will be fun. Oh, look at the fucking Red Wings. Couldn't even score in overtime. They go to a shootout. Whatever. Fuck off. Anyway, that's that for hockey. We'll get back to hockey in a minute. MSU, our basketball stuff. We'll go to basketball now. Obviously, the national championship is over. So there's that. The bane of my existence has come to fruition. With fucking Michigan somehow winning the fucking national championship. Even worse, Will Shitter gets a national championship ring. Fuck that guy. He did fuck all nothing to improve the fucking team. And now he gets rewarded by being a giant baby. The final 4 games weren't even that good, in my opinion. The UConn Illinois game was fine, I guess. It was like mid. Illinois just chucked up way too many threes and couldn't defend inside. And then Michigan absolutely creams Arizona. And so I'm thinking going into the national championship that Michigan's going to do the same thing to UConn. And they didn't. They didn't. only because they were shitty from the 3-point line. They made like 2 3-pointers the entire game. But of course, UConn decides to get infected with whatever the fuck Illinois had and just chucks up a million fucking threes. None of them fall, especially in the second half. And they, again, also can't defend in the paint because Michigan was getting every foul call in their favor. And it just, and even though, and they still only lost by 6. You know, Michigan went 2 for however much from 3 and won by 6. That sucks. And I really hate to say it, but Michigan is like the perfect basketball team right now. Like this season, they had the bigs, they had the shooters, they had the defense. I mean, they had it all. Nobody stopped them. Except somehow a miracle run by Wisconsin on Michigan's home floor, mind you. I still don't know how that happened. And Duke beat them barely on a neutral site. And then somehow Purdue beat them in Indianapolis, or Chicago, I think, at Chicago. I don't know how that happened either, but such is life, I guess. It was always convenient how Michigan got the worst possible performances out of their opponents when they played them. Except for the first round game, which was Howard, right? The first round game, that was kind of close for a little bit. Like Arizona played like shit. UConn played like shit. Who'd they play before that? Houston. No, not Houston. Fuck. Who was it? I don't even remember. It doesn't fucking matter. Fuck off. Okay. Michigan will get stripped of the national championship eventually. And that'll be what it is. Fuck you. In the women's side of the bracket, it was a very boring tournament. It usually is. Even when it came down to the Final Four, things weren't, when it was all the 1 seeds, things weren't super close. South Carolina did pull off a pretty huge upset over UConn to even get to the national championship. And then national championship was just a massacre. UCLA absolutely destroyed them to win the national championship. Their first national championship in school history. So the Big Ten sweeps basketball. That's also the first Big Ten basketball championship since, and for men at least, since 2000 when MSU did it. Existential crisis is all around. Not fun. Not fun at all. So that's the tournament. I thought it was an alright tournament. There weren't as many upsets as I'd like to see. There were a decent amount though. And there were some really good games. That UConn buzzer beat over Duke was really, really good. There's some other really good games thrown in there too. And as much as I hate to say it, Michigan is a deserving national championship winner. But does that mean I'm happy about it? No, I'm not fucking happy about the Red Wings just lost in a shootout. They just lost. They were up with 17 seconds left and they just lost. Why do all my sports teams fucking suck? At least I got a point. Right? But yeah, anyway, fuck that, dude. Fuck the Red Wings, dude. They're so fucking infuriating. Anyway, before we go on to other stuff with basketball, I do want to shout out the winners of the bracket challenges for our server. In the men's side, the winner was Ann Pomeroy, who illegally picked Michigan. So really, it should be me, because nobody should ever pick Michigan in any bracket challenge that I run, ever. But Ann won there. And then in the women's side, it was me. Pringleson wins. Woo! So, Ann won the men's, I won the women's. So, there's that. So congratulations, and yeah, we'll move on from that. So I'm pulling up something for a little bit later here. Hold on. All right. Anyway, congratulations to Anne Pomeroy and yours truly. So, other basketball stuff. Bill Self was heavily rumored, to be retiring, and that's not happening. He is returning to Kansas, so good for him. It was health reasons, and also the team's been kind of stagnating, but he's returning. Fine. I mean, they're not gonna fire his ass. What Bill fucking Self? What do you think they're gonna do? I just hope he doesn't die coaching. Maybe that's what he wants to do. I don't know. It's what Tom Izzo wants to do. Seems like, but for his sake, I hope he gets to go out on his own terms and not due to heart attacks on the court from losing to Houston. The other big head coaching discrepancy was who was going to take the North Carolina job. And it was a kind of a clusterfuck of a search, if I tell you that much. North Carolina at least was rumored to, or did reach out to, several high-end college coaches to see who could take the spot. They reached out to Tommy Lloyd, was a big factor, the Arizona coach. He turned it down. Dusty May came out and said he wasn't taking the job either. Who else was it? The Iowa State coach turned it down. That was another big one. Nate Oates from Alabama was a big one, but he signed an extension, so that was not happening. So, North Carolina settled for Michael Malone, formerly the Nuggets coach, the Denver Nuggets NBA coach, who led the Nuggets to the 2023 NBA championship. So, he does have championship experience. I'm hesitant for this hire, simply because the transition of a professional coach to a college coach generally does not work out that well. I mean, North Carolina should know that firsthand with Bill Belichick. But I don't think it's a bad hire. And really, they didn't get a good picking, and it should speak to a lot. A, with NIL and the transfer portal and shit like that, but also B, the fall of North Carolina as a program, that all of these prestigious coaches all of these really good coaching prospects turned down the North Carolina job. If you told me that 10 years ago, I would have thought you were crazy. I really thought it was going to be the Iowa State coach, personally. I thought the Iowa State coach might take the job, but he didn't. Wanted to stay at Iowa State. You know what? Respect. North Carolina is not what it used to be. Not at all. So that is that. For MSU related stuff, there was some wild stuff going around on April Fool's Day regarding stuff last week. And as far as I know, this is true information, but I'm not 100% sure on this. The first one is that Tom Izzo came out and said that he was really, really close to taking the Phoenix Suns head coaching job after the 2024-2025 season. What? Now you get it, right? The connection with, I'm blanking on his name. The guy, right? The thing. Fuck, what the fuck? Ishbia, right? The Ishbia connection. That would be the main reason why you would think Izzo would take the job. But if he did end up taking the job, would be a huge detriment on his legacy, right? Coaching over 30 years in Michigan State. And then when you're in the twilight of your career, in your 70s, you take a head coaching job in the fucking NBA, and not just any NBA team, the fucking Phoenix Suns, a massive fucking failure of an organization that just wastes water, and where you're only probably coaching for a couple years before you decide to retire because the NBA sucks. What? Why would you even consider it? I know Ishbia, right? That's the only reason why he'd consider it. Sorry, the cat is causing some audio confusions here. Anyway, it's just a terrible, terrible decision. To even consider it is really bad, in my opinion. But he didn't take it. I really don't think he would. I don't even know why he considered it. I don't know why the Suns would hire him, to be honest with you. I guess I do know why they'd hire him. The other big thing that was announced was that for next year's schedule, MSU was originally scheduled to play Arkansas on the road as the second part of their home and home series. Remember, they played Arkansas at the Breslin Center earlier last year in November. That game got moved from Arkansas to Detroit at Little Caesars Arena. I want to know who made this decision. Because I have a hard time believing that Arkansas would say no to a home game, especially against such a big opponent. Seeing that they already played at the Breslin Center last year, why would they turn this job that they decided to get down to play at their place? You know why? Money. TV contracts. They're going to do it on the day after Thanksgiving, following the Lions game. Money. It's kind of funny too. I want to go back to something that I've been meaning to talk about for a while, and I was going to save this really honestly until later this summer, but I'm going to talk about it now because I think it's a good point to talk about it. I am not a big fan of neutral site matchups. I'm not. Like, the only time that neutral site matchups should really happen is in the NCAA tournament and like the conference tournaments. I really don't think that there should be neutral site matchups during the regular season. I'm not a big fan of it. Especially, and this is not just for college basketball, I think this is for college football too. And really even like professional stuff, right? Like, I think the only exceptions to that would be like if they're playing internationally, obviously, or if I think like the Champions Classic, I guess, is an exception too. And like the invitationals, like the feast week stuff, you know, with the, like going out to Maui or something like that, you know, that would make sense. But just like a general regular season matchup between two big opponents, I would rather see home and home series. I love home and home series. I love that they're, and I think that's a general like shift in the landscape of college basketball, that more and more teams are doing the home and home series, and I love that. I hate neutral site games. You know why they do neutral site games? Is money. Because the professional tickets, there are pro arenas and they can make the tickets more expensive. They're bigger, and the TV networks want to be there. And it's so fucking annoying because that Arkansas game at the Breslin Center last November was fucking awesome. It was such a good environment. John Calipari fucking loved it even. He was a road coach. Why would you take away the game? Especially moving it to Detroit, too. That's basically a second home game for MSU. I just don't know why he would do that. And also Tom Izzo, a guy who was also very much against neutral site stuff, loves the home and home stuff. Why would you... And how hypocritical does this look on you? You know what I'm saying? And I really should be happy about it because, like, it's a home game for MSU. And it'll be a good environment. No doubt. I'm not saying it won't be. But I just don't like the neutral site stuff at all. I just don't. Not a big fan of it. And I want to see more home and home environments because college basketball environments are still really amazing. They're really amazing environments through and through. And I think just with these big non-conference matchups, especially then, because like you can see it all the time in conference play, right? In the SEC and the Big Ten and ACC and whatnot. But like, when are we gonna get like Duke versus Michigan? Could that not be in Cameron Indoor or Ann Arbor? Right? Like, I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a big fan of neutral site games. And that goes for football too. Football, especially, I'd like to see more non-conference home and homes in football. Right? Even hockey. Hockey is, I think, really the ones that kind of the exception to that. They really do try and keep it like home and home series stuff. But they play series, so it's a little different. Same like baseball and stuff like that. But still, you know what I mean? Like basketball and football, I think, are the big proprietors for this. And obviously, like I said, the main reason is money. The main reason is money. And it sucks. Money sucks. Money sucks. Corporate greed sucks. It's ruining everything. More home and home series, please. Anyway, that's all I had for MSU men's basketball. For women's basketball action, the only big thing that I noticed was that Jaylen Brown is going to the WNBA draft. Really good for her. I am really excited for her. She's a great player, and I think she will definitely, at least I think she should get drafted. She should. But I don't think that... I think she will. I think she'll get drafted. I don't know if she'll get, like actually drafted. I think she might get signed after the fact. But she's a really good player, and I think that... I think she'd be a good player. So that's that. That's all I had for... But that's all I had for... NMSU women's basketball action. Sorry, I was just updating something for a little bit later before I forgot. And how's the professional stuff going? Well, the Pistons are the only team really holding my life together at this point, because they're the only team that is showing any levels of success right now. And that's kind of sad when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. But they are doing really, really well. They beat the Raptors 127-116. Then they beat the Timberwolves 113-108. That was a tight game. That was a really good game. Watch that on TV. Awesome game. Then they beat the 76ers 116-93. And that was a huge win, because it clinched the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. The Pistons will be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, have home court advantage. That is huge, absolutely huge. And with how the playoff picture is lining up right now, they're most likely going to get one of the probably the Heat or the Hornets or the Magic. Maybe the 76ers. But probably the Hornets, Heat, or Magic. All of those teams they should sweep. Except maybe the Magic. The Magic have been giving them a good run for their money this season, just like they did in their most recent game, when the Pistons lost the Magic 123-107. Granted, I think the Pistons are going to start kind of taking their foot off the gas a little bit. They are beat up. Tobias Harris fighting some injury issues right now. Cade's still working his way back into the lineup with the collapsed lung. He should be back in time for the playoffs. I really think at this point, with them having the 1 seed locked up, I don't want to see Cade on the floor at all until the playoffs. But I wouldn't be surprised if they try and work him into the lineup a little bit these last couple of games, just to get him back in the groove. Isaiah Stewart's going to come back soon. They're getting ready to have him back. So Pistons, it's good too, not having to do the play-in. They're going to have that bye, and a little bit of a bye, which not super significant, but I think it will help, especially with the team that's going to be coming in, having already played some games, being a little bit more tired. And the Pistons are going to have that home court, which is going to be sweet. So, going to be awesome there. So, good work, Pistons. You make me happy. The only other NBA related thing that I had, huge hit for the Lakers. Luka Doncic out for the season. I think he's going to be back for the playoffs, but he's out for the remainder of the regular season. So, but I think he tore a ligament. Don't remember how it happened, but unfortunate and kind of funny. Not for Luka. I think Luka is a good player and probably a really good person. But it's funny for the Lakers because they're money market bitches and they don't deserve fun. So there's that. That's all the basketball action I had. We'll move on to baseball now. Baseball stuff. Baseball all back in action now. Well, mostly fully back in action. Obviously, the Growlers and that Northwoods League stuff not in action. But for the Tigers, Tigers action going on. It was not a fun trip out to Arizona. They lost 7-5 in the second game of the series. They were up 5-0 and gave up 7 unanswered runs, including a 6th run, 7th inning. So they lost that game. And then they got shut out the next day, losing to Arizona 1-0, with the only run of the game being a home run that seemingly just got carried out in the outfield. Didn't even look like it was going to be much of anything. And it was a scooball start. They wasted another scooball start because of poor offensive play. Then they came home. Opening day in Detroit, really good environment. And they beat St. Louis 4-0. And then they beat the Cardinals again, 11-6 to win the series. The game ended up getting called after 8 innings. Didn't really matter. I mean, they're up 11-6. Then they lost to the Cardinals in the series finale 5-3. And now they're on the road against the Twins. They lost to the Twins last night 7-3, or in game 1 of the series, 7-3, I should say. And they lost game 2 as well. They're going to lose game 2. They're down 4-1 in the 8th inning. And the Twins have the bases loaded. Great. And guess what, folks? Another Scooble start. But Scooble gave up the 4 runs. Folks, Scooble's off to a rough start to the 2025 or 2026 season. That's fun. Can't wait for him to be traded for fuck all nothing because he's ruining his own stock. Anyway, so that's that. More news. Last Sunday was supposed to be Justin Verlander's first return to Detroit, the welcome home game. And they were selling lots of tickets. They were doing the big promotion for it. The Tigers got Sunday Night Baseball with it all. It was going to be great. It was going to be fun. It was going to be awesome. And then Verlander's on the IR. 1 start, 3 fucking innings, and he's done. He's cooked. Hip inflammation. Verlander, my hips are inflamed too. But you don't see me going on the 15-day IL. Maybe it's just the part of turning 40. Eventually that'll happen to me. But not today. So yeah, his first start back in Detroit is on delay. And I don't think many fans were very happy about that, considering they bought tickets just to see Verlander and didn't even get to see him. And it was like 20 degrees out. And they lost, so not fun there. It's been a rough start to the year for the Tigers. They're about to lose their they're playing a 4-game series out in Minnesota, so they could still split it, I guess. But they've blown 2 Scooble starts now, so fun. They're about to fall to 4-7, unless they rally. We'll see. The season has started, though, for the Lugnuts. The Lansing Lugnuts are back in action. Garry will be covering all of the action for the Lugnuts this season, but obviously, again, like the K-Wings, he's not here. So I will cover this today. The Lugnuts lost in the Crosstown Showdown to MSU 16-10 to start the season out, so that's great. But I don't even really count that a full game, because you know what? They were using fucking pitching machines, and they were using stupid-ass rules. Some of them were pretty good rules, but they were still stupid. So 16-10. And then their first real series of the season, they played a 3-game series with Dayton. They lost to the Dragons 8-7, and then they beat the Dragons 5-1. And then the third game of the series, was canceled or delayed because of rain. We got a lot of rain over the weekend, so kind of fucked everything up for baseball. The Lugnuts are on the road now in Fort Wayne, and they beat Fort Wayne in the first game of the series tonight, or I guess last night at the time this is going out, 3-1. They were tied going into the ninth, and they got 2 runs to secure the win. So the Lugnuts off to a pretty decent start to the season, sitting at 2-1. So that'll be cool. Like I said, Garry will keep up with that action throughout pretty much the rest of the season. So that'll be fun to go over with as well. And then we go to MSU baseball. This is what I was pulling up earlier. Again, Garry covers MSU baseball, but he's not here. So, and I didn't bother to write the results down earlier in the day. So we're just going to do this now. Again, MSU beat the Lugnuts 16-10 in that game. Then they went on the road to Northwestern. They won the first game 5-1. They lost the second game 9-10. And then they lost the series finale 6-8. So they lost the series. And that was it. They play again tonight against Notre Dame. In Notre Dame. So that'll be fun. Then they come home to play Michigan. That'll be busy as shit. Maybe. The weather's not looking that great, so maybe it won't be. Who knows? But yeah, that is that for MSU baseball action, folks. Let's go. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 regular season games. Let's give it up for Jake Boss Jr. Nah, well, it's kind of a farce, because you can't really expect baseball to be good in a state that's cold until mid-May, when the season goes from like February to the end of May or middle of May. So that is that. Nothing else crazy to touch on baseball wise. And then there's another NASCAR topic that Garry will go over next episode as well that I'm saving. There's a fun item that he got, so that'll be fun. But yeah, I think that's it. Otherwise, for this episode, obviously kind of boring, just sitting and listening to me talk the whole time with no Garry. But nothing really else crazy to go over. I'm still pissed off at the Red Wings action. The Tigers-Twins game, top of the 9th inning, still down 4-1. They got out of the bases loaded jam. We got a man on second with nobody out. You know what? Fuck it. I could live commentate the end of this fucking game if I really wanted to. Jermaine Jones up to bat. Javi Baez hit a double. It's fun. Javi Baez has been hitting swinging at least at a lot of splitters. It's been great. It's been fun. But anyways, there's really else I gotta say for this episode. Like I said, next week Garry will be back on. We'll cover more action, including Garry's little fun item that he got. And we'll have Ann Pomeroy back on next week as well. Ann Pomeroy is currently out on a road trip, seeing a bunch of new stadiums and doing a lot of other fun stuff. So Ann will be back on next week to talk about that and some other fun stuff too. But of course, the NHL and NBA playoff races are heating up, and so is the baseball season as things get going there. So that's really all that I have, at least, to talk about this week. And so that's going to be it for this episode. So stay tuned, obviously, for much more amazing content coming soon, including next week. But until then, we're going to live commentate the end of this game with the Tigers and the Twins. Well, Jermaine Jones struck out, so we are into 1 out, top of the 9th. Up next is the rookie Kevin McGonigal. Been great to start the season for the Tigers. The thing with the Tigers so far this season is that they have lots of like splash plays. I wouldn't call them splash plays, more like splash innings. And then the pitching falters, which is not great. McGonigal strikes. 1-2 count. By the way, my Detroit Sportsnet working great. I did finally get the offer to claim my free tickets to a game. I'm going on May 3rd. Fun enough. Going on May 3rd to see the Rangers. Beat the Rangers they're playing. Sunday Night Baseball, too. They only gave me the options for any home game in April. Plus that May 3rd game, so we selected that game only because I was like, well, it's probably going to be the best weather and the warmest. But also that, there's most of the other games I couldn't make because of work. So I'm like, yeah, why not? Go see the Tigers on May 3rd. Plus, it's a new team to add to my sports logbook. Never seen the Rangers, so that'll be fun. Should be a good time. I'm excited. I was curious though because it was letting me select additional games, and I could just keep getting free tickets. There was no balance due. It was just having my balance stay at 0 as the more games I selected, and so I was kind of interested to try and push it, but I wouldn't have been able to make again any of those games. Maybe 1 or 2 other ones. So I didn't push the issue. But if anybody else out there did the early subscribing to Detroit Sportsnet and got that offer, and were you able to get multiple games for free? Were you able to get all of the games for free? Maybe if I lived closer to Detroit, like even lived in Detroit, I probably would have done it because it would have been a lot easier to get to the games. But I live an hour and a half drive away. I can't make it out to a 6:40 first pitch when I work till 5. You know what I mean? So, yeah. That was that. Anyways, back to this game. Kevin McGonigal doubles. Javi Baez scores. So now it's 4-2. Oh shit. The tying runs up to the plate. His name is Gleyber Torres. So that'll be fun. So, God damn it. I don't want to edit this part out too, but I know it's going to be a 5-minute intermission so that he can fucking do whatever the fuck he needs to do. Warm up or whatever the fuck. You know what? I'm just going to fucking call it. And you know what? We'll talk about the end of that game and the next episode. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned for the much more amazing content. And until next time. See you guys later. Goodbye.